Chapter 17. This is the middle section of the book. This whole section is called Today. It's about 10 chapters long, 9 or 10. Chapter 17. A breath before dawn, Max left Buelo a note and set out from the cottage, following Lola to the fork and up the switchbacks. He adjusted the backpack he had stuffed full of provisions, another blanket, extra clothes, jam sandwiches, ham tortas, enough to feed Lola and an army, and the map wrapped in oilskin. He pulled the leather cord from beneath his shirt, letting his mother's compass dangle on the outside. If he got lost, it might help. And it might make him look more credible to the hidden one, as if he'd done this before. Above them, the peregrines swam wide loops against the watery sky. Oh, that's amazing. Above them, the peregrines swam wide loops against the watery sky. Pilgrim bird, traveler from a promised land, whispered Max, are you my mother's spirit, or someone like her? Will you bring me good fortune and magic? He hoped she would at least bring him safe passage. The sun peeked out. Last night's storm had rinsed the dust from the stones at the ruins. Cobwebs glistened and the tower glowed. He retrieved the key. Okay, Lola, we want to give the woman a fair warning and try not to alarm her. Max pulled the outside tower door open and softly called, Hello? No one answered. Lola darted past him and rushed to the locked gate, sniffing and pawing at the rails. Max called again, Hello? I'm here to help. When there was no response, he unlocked the gate and climbed the stone steps with Lola pressed to his side. Something shuffled above. Lola charged into the stairwell and disappeared, relentlessly barking. Max scrambled after her. Lola! On the 4th level, he found her, woofing deep and loud at a young girl huddled on the floor and shaking. He ran forward and grabbed Lola's collar. I'm so sorry. Don't be scared. She won't hurt you. The girl unfolded herself, still trembling, and clutched something wrapped in Buelo's old sweater. She looked just old enough for school. Her large brown eyes darted from Max to Lola and back to Max. She smoothed her blue dress. A thick fringe of hair covered her forehead and was trimmed in a straight line just above her brows. One loose braid, knotted with twigs and leaves, almost reached her waist. There was more dirt on her clothes and tear-streaked cheeks than on her scuffed boots. Had she been sleeping outside? She squinted and blinked several times before crouching, and patting the floor, she found a pair of wire rims and put them on, making her eyes look bigger and even more frightened. Father Romero hadn't said that the woman he was to escort was traveling with a child. Before Max could ask where she was, the bundle in the girl's arms wriggled and the kitten peeked from a sweater. Lola strained towards it. Sit, Max commanded. The dog whimpered but obeyed. This is Lola, he said. She's harmless. She wouldn't have cornered you except for the cat. She's a Portuguese water dog and large for her breed, but she's very gentle, at least with people. I promise. The girl's lips quivered. Still, she said nothing. I'm Max. I'm the guardian. I'm here for the hidden one. Who are you? The girl's eyes narrowed and she backed away. Don't be afraid. My father was supposed to guide someone, but he's away, and Father Romero said she must be moved at once. He stood taller. I'm to say, I'm a pilgrim, true of heart. Her face relaxed a little. Max looked around the room. I need to talk to someone named Isadora. Do you know where she is? The girl swept a wisp of hair from her eyes, took a wobbly breath, and pointed to herself. He frowned. She was Isadora? She was the one he was supposed to escort? But she was so young. How could he care for such a small child? Could she even make the journey on her spindly legs? You're alone? She hugged the kitten and looked as if she might burst into tears again. Max put both his hands on his head and walked in a circle. The only little children he really knew were Chuy's sisters. All of his complaints about them echoed. They threw tantrums when they didn't get their way. They didn't do as he asked. They were loud or whiny or annoying. The kitten mewed, interrupting his thoughts. Why hadn't Father Romero mentioned the cat? The cat could be a problem. What if it ran off and Isadora chased it into a ravine or became hysterical? What if it meowed while they were hiding? I'm afraid we're going to have to leave that cat here. Isadora's face wrenched and she emphatically shook her head. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but she didn't make a sound. No one had prepared him for crying. He knelt on one knee in front of her and said gently, "Please trust me. What if Lola and the kitten don't get along?" She held out her small hand towards Lola, who inched forward, sniffing. Within seconds, Isadora was stroking her head and neck. She set the kitten down in front of her. Lola lowered her big body to the floor and crawled forward, nudging the kitten with her nose. It pawed at Lola's head, backed away, and pounced forward playfully. Carefully, Lola licked the kitten's back like a mother cat. Isadora swiped her cheeks, her eyes pleading. Max sighed in resignation. "All right, where are your things?" Isadora crossed the room and started up the stone steps. Max and Lola followed her to the top of the stairwell. There were no stones with markings this high up in the tower, except for one. Devoted Sister Rosalina, waiting for Isadora in Mañana Land. There was that word again, Mañana Land. If Isadora's sister was there, just like Max's mother, then it must be a safe haven. But where and what kind of place was it, he wondered. As if she heard him, Isadora waved him to the landing and into the tower room. Beneath the domed ceiling, a mural wrapped the walls. The paint was faded and cracked in some spots, but it was still a magnificent panorama. The first scene began at the landing, where a tiny church sat in the midst of burned-out buildings, street fires, and broken glass. People fled with their belongings while soldiers shot bullets over their heads. Isadora stood in front of the scene, biting the corner of her lip. "Abismo," whispered Max, following her to the next section. There, a vast countryside was dotted with houses, barns, stables, and thickets, some tagged with the black silhouette of a peregrine, its head, open wings, and splayed legs like the points on a star. Black stars. Max touched one. The sign of the falcon. Places to hide. Farther on the wall became a tightly packed forest, every tree a person, the limbs like arms reaching for one another. "People hiding in trees," said Max. She closed her eyes. Her body shuddered. What had happened to her on her journey here? Isadora stepped aside to where the trees gave way to the citrus orchards and grape fields surrounding Santa Maria. Rio Bobinado, Our Lady of Sorrows, and Max's Bridge were all there, and on the cliff's edge, the tower and the ruins. After the village, a scurry of clouds, white, purple, gray, streaked across the wall. Lightning sprang from some, rain from others. Then the mural burst into a lush, sunny landscape, blue skies and green hills, bougainvillea, bushes laden with berries, trees ripe with fruit, and waterfalls spilling into large pools with arcs of rainbows. Painted above it was the word, Mañana Land. Isadora stopped in front of the paradise, and for the first time, Max saw a timid smile. A swath of sunlight shined through a loophole, and the room brightened. Still in awe, Max slowly turned, taking in the mural again. No wonder Tio wanted to preserve the tower. Isadora reached out and gently touched a rainbow. Max could feel her optimism and longing as she gazed at the beautiful scene. Her sister was waiting for her in Mañana Land, and hopefully Max's mother was waiting there too.